Yeah, FST paper 2. In FST paper 2, FST 1 paper 2, the number starts with the 37 chemistry. So in that, the 37th question, which of the following conditions regarding a chemical process ensures its spontaneity at all temperatures? As we all know that delta G is equals to delta H minus T delta S, delta H is equals to negative, and delta S is equals to positive. It could be delta G is equals to negative at all temperatures. At all temperatures. Hence the option is B. Question number 38. They have given two containers. One container is having the volume 0.5 dm cube. 1 dm cube is nothing but 1 liter. So A. And another container is going to be 1 liter. Container is going to be B. At the same temperature, if density of the gas A is 3 grams per liter and density of gas B is 1.5 grams per liter, molecular weight of A is equals to 1/3 of molecular weight of B. So calculate PA divided by PB. As we know that ideal gas equation, PV is equals to N into R into T. PV equals to nRT. This PV is equals to weight divided by gram molecular weight into R into T. PM is equals to weight divided by volume into R into T. PM is equals to dRT. This is the expression that we are going to utilize. So here we have the difference in the volume, there is a difference in the density, there is a difference in the gram molecular weight, and they did not mention about the temperature. Hence I can take the temperature is going to be the fixed one. Now when we apply these conditions for this expression, it is going to be PA MA divided by dA is equals to PB MB divided by dB. And we need to calculate PA ratio to PB or PA upon PB. PA by PB is equals to, we can write it as dA divided by dB into, here we can write it as MB divided by MA. That's it. So everything over. dA divided by dB, dA value as we know that 3 divided by 1.5 into MB divided by MA. MB divided by MA, that is equals to 3. So I can write this 1.5 as the 3 divided by 2. It get cancelled. Now it is equals to 6. PA divided by PB is equals to 6. Hence option 1. Next, question number 39. When it comes to question number 39, the delta U for the formation of NOCl, nitrosyl chloride, from the gaseous elements is 51.71 kilojoules per mole at 25 degrees Celsius. If the gases are ideal, calculate delta U. As we all know that delta U is equals to, delta H is equals to delta U plus delta N RT, where delta N is nothing but change in number of moles from products to the reactants. So first they have mentioned NOCl, which is formed from its gaseous elements. 1/2 N2 gas plus 1/2 O2 gas, 1/2 Cl2 gas gives rise to NOCl gaseous. Therefore the enthalpy of formation of this one, enthalpy of reaction is nothing but enthalpy of formation of NOCl, that is equals to 51.71 kilojoules per mole. And we have to calculate the delta N RT value. Now when you take this one, delta H is equals to delta U. Delta U value is given as 51.71 into 10 cube joules per mole plus delta N value 1 minus 1.5 that is equals to minus 0.5. So minus 1 divided by 2 into R value, given that the values which are given in the joules, such that I have to substitute R value as 8.314 into temperature which is given at 25 degrees Celsius, 298 Kelvin. Certainly you will get the value of delta H, which is already given to you, and we have to calculate the delta U. This is going to be, and if you want to calculate delta U, we can calculate like this, because delta U is equals to delta H minus delta N R into T. Delta N into R into T. Therefore, delta H value I know 51.71. Minus of minus, it becomes a plus. Therefore, we can calculate from this. So the value which will come out little more than that. Therefore, option D is going to be the correct one. So first I have delta H value. The delta H value. Delta N is going to be minus. Therefore, minus of minus, it becomes a plus. R value I substituted here, and the T value also we substituted 298. Then we got this answer. Next comes to 40th question. This is very rare that they are asking the question based on the Heisenberg's uncertainty principle, which is delta X into delta P is greater than or equals to H divided by 4 pi. Delta X into M into delta V is greater than or equals to H divided by 4 pi. Delta X into delta V is greater than or equals to H divided by 4 pi M. So the only thing you have to do is velocity is given 90 kilometers per hour. Velocity is given as 90 kilometers per hour. We have to convert this one into the seconds. So 90 into 1000 divided by 60 minutes into 60. Now it becomes in seconds. But we need uncertainty in velocity. Uncertainty in velocity is this 9 into 10 power 4 divided by 3600 into how much percentage? 1%. 1 divided by 100. That is equals to delta V is equals to 9 into 10 square divided by 3600. This one gets cancelled. 9 divided by 36. 4. That is equals to, simply it is going to be 1 divided by 4. Delta V value we know. Now, as we know that delta X we have to calculate. Mass is also given. Mass is given as 1050 kg. Mass is equals to 1050 kg. That is equals to 1050 into 10 cube grams. And H value also we know. Now I am going to substitute delta X is equals to, is greater than or equals to 6.625 into 10 power minus 34, because in joule second. Otherwise in that second it is going to be 10 power minus 27. Now 4 into 3.14 into, as we know that this value is also given, delta V value is 1 divided by 4 into, now we have to substitute mass 1050 into 10 cube. This 4 gets cancelled. So, and it is going to be approximately 2 times. Likewise, if you calculate, then you will definitely get that particular option. It will come out as, now similarly it is showing 3 2s are 2 500s are 1 divided by 5. That is equals to 2 into approximately 10 power minus 39 is going to come out. You just see the value. Delta X is equals to 10 power minus 39 or 34. You just check that option. So calculation which is subjected to U only, as earlier I said. Now comes to question number 41. Which of the following name is incorrectly matched? Dihydrogen monoxide, H2O. H2O dihydrogen monoxide, this is true. When it comes to SO2, sulfur dioxide, this is also true. And HOCl. HOCl. Chlorous acid. No, this is hypochlorous acid. Sir, why we are peculiar? all oxy acids, the lowest oxidation state of the oxy acid is always having prefix hypo. Highest oxidation state is always having the prefix per. HClO4 perchloric acid, HaO4 periodic acid, HOCl hypochlorous acid, HOBr hypobromous acid, HOI hypoiodous acid. So likewise we have to, it's not chlorous acid, it's not chlorous acid, it is hypochlorous acid. Next one, H3PO3, of course that is the phosphorus acid, that is true, which is incorrectly matched is 41. Next one comes to 42. I guess you need to calculate the which among the following is the paramagnetic in nature. So when it comes to the paramagnetic in nature, nitrogen, all those molecular orbitals are going to be completely filled. Therefore, N2 is a dia. C2, which is also going to be the dia, and guess B2 is going to be the paramagnetic. O2 2 plus is going to be diamagnetic. O2 is para. O2 plus is para. O2 2 plus is a dia. I guess you can understand. Next, question number 44. Comes to question number 44. So when it comes to the question number 44, they have given 2Al solid plus Fe2O3 solid gives rise to Al2O3 solid plus 2Fe solid. And given that delta H naught F of Al2O3 is equals to 100 kilocalories per mole. Delta H naught F of Fe2O3 is equals to minus 50 kilocalories per mole. And given that the density of aluminium 2.7 grams per cc, density of Fe2O3 given as 3.2 grams per cc. So this is really peculiar that densities usually they won't give, but maybe we have to see what they were asked. First option, enthalpy change for the above reaction. For the above given reaction is a minus 50 kilocalories. Enthalpy change, which means enthalpy of reaction is equals to enthalpy of formation of products minus enthalpy of formation of reactants. That is given here, which is given as for standard elements that is going to be 0, for this is 0 and for this is also 0. Therefore, which is going to be for Al2O3 minus 100 minus of minus 50, that is equals to minus 50 kilocalories per. So minus 50 kilocalories per mole is going to be the true. Next, 1.07 kg of mixture can produce maximum 250 kilocalorie heat. Can produce maximum 250 kilocalorie of heat energy. This is it's not very complicated or not difficult. So if you just go with this reaction, 50 kilocalories of reaction, 50 kilocalories of energy which is produced when 2 moles of aluminium and 1 mole of Fe2O3, 2 moles of aluminium and 1 mole of Fe2O3, when these two are reacted, I got 50 kilocalories of energy released. Whereas 250 kilocalories of energy released, which means these number of moles also should be multiplied by 5. When we multiply it by 5, therefore it is going to be 10 moles of aluminium plus 5 moles of Fe2O3. 5 moles of Fe2O3. Now 10 moles of aluminium, 10 into 27, that is equals to 270 grams. 5 moles of Fe2O3, that is 5 into Iron, that is going to be 56 into 2, so 12, 10, 112, 112, and it is going to be 48, that is equals to 160, yeah, 160 grams, and this is going to be 270 grams plus this is going to be 800 grams, which is equals to 1070 grams. 1070 grams, which is nothing but 1.07 kg. Good problem. So, first option which is true, from that first option, second option we can calculate, that is nothing but 1.07 kg of mixture can be produced, a maximum 250 kilocalories of heat energy, that is true. Maximum calorific value of fuel will be 0.432 kilocalories per gram. Maximum calorific value. Calorific value is equals to delta H divided by gram molecular weight. But here delta H which is there, calorific value which is always to be calculated for the reactants, because these much reactants undergoing reaction, how much amount of energy is going to be released. Now here, who is having the calorific value? This one, 50 kilocalories. Therefore, calorific value of this Fe2O3 is equals to 50 10 cube divided by how much Fe2O3, that is equals to 160. Now you can check. This is going to be something around 5000 divided by 16, which is not going to be nearly 16 3s are 48, and again 16 ones are 0.3. If you take it in really in kilocalories, 0.3 will come, but it is coming out, given one is 0.432 kilocalorie per gram. Option D, therefore option C is not going to come. Option D, maximum calorific value of fuel will be 0.714 kilocalorie per cc, master stroke which is given in the units. So let us check the units. Actually calorific value is equals to total enthalpy divided by gram molecular weight. But here the value which is going to be, you have to calculate the total volume. You understand? So the value which is going to be 50 kilocalories, we all know. So now calorific value is equals to what is the calorific value here? That is nothing but 50 divided by total volume. Total volume which means this volume as well as this one. So now volume total is equals to, as we all know that density is equals to mass divided by volume. Therefore volume is equals to mass divided by density. So their mass which is going to be aluminium 2 into 27 divided by its density is given. What is the density of aluminium given? 2.7 plus Fe2O3, it is 160 divided by some 3.2. Now 2.7 tensor. So here it is going to be this is 20 and here it is 16 tensor 16 it is going to be here we have 16 tens we have, and it is going to be 16 0.20 and it will be some 150, therefore that is equals to some 60. Now if we want to calculate the total calorific value, so it is going to be 100 divided by 250, therefore this will be 20 na? 20 plus 50, that is equals to 7. Now if we want to calculate the maximum calorific value of the fuel, so the maximum calorific value of the fuel, that is equals to calorific value. Calorific value, which is equals to 50 divided by, now you can check, then it is going to be 50 divided by 70, it gives the value in terms of the kilocalorie per cc, right? 44, that is okay. Next one comes to the 45th question. So comes to 45th question. Yeah, when it comes to question number 45, given that the molar solubility of AgCl in 2.5 molar ammonia solution is nearly, so how much which is going to be, and for that given, they have given Ksp of AgCl is 10 power minus 10, and Kf of Ag NH3 taken twice plus, which is equals to 10 power 6. So for this, actually the thing is, we'll be having a reaction. So when it comes to Ksp, which is nothing but AgCl gives rise to Ag plus plus Cl minus, and here Ksp is equals to concentration of Ag plus into concentration of Cl minus, or the solubility of Ag plus into solubility of Cl minus. Next, when it comes to this reaction, when we are having Ag plus, then the Ag plus ion which is released during this process will combine with the ammonia, and it is going to form a stable complex Ag NH3 taken twice plus complex. So just by adding these two equations, we will get the field. This one gets cancelled. Now it is going to be AgCl plus 2 moles of ammonia NH3 gives rise to, we will get Ag NH3 taken twice plus Cl minus. Of course, this is an whole equilibrium reaction Kc. This is going to be Kf. Therefore, Kc is equals to, we will get the feeling of Kc is equals to Kf into Ksp. Kf into Ksp. Now, this is given as some 2.5 molar ammonia is given. Given that some 2.5 molar. And AgCl molar solubility, Ag plus molar solubility only we have to calculate. Let us suppose that here some 2.5 minus 2s, because S solubility is going to be reacted from here, and here it is going to form S, and it is going to form S. Why I am taking S? The concentration of Ag plus which combines with the ammonia, the same concentration of the solubility of Cl minus is going to be formed. Therefore, these two are going to be equal. I guess you can understand. Now, Kc is equals to, as we know that, S into S, S square divided by 2.5 minus 2S whole square. Kf into Ksp. Kf into Ksp, that is equals to 10 power minus 4 is equals to S square divided by 2.5 minus 2S whole square. That is equals to 10 power minus 2 is equals to S divided by 2.5 minus 2S. 2.5 minus 2S, which implies that 1 divided by 100, that is equals to S divided by 2.5 minus 2S, which implies that 2.5 minus 2S is equals to 100S, which implies that 2.5 is equals to 102S, which implies that S is equals to 2.5 divided by 102. So it could be definitely little less than 0.025. So it's gonna be option A. Next, question number 46. MCO3 solid gives rise to MCO3 solid gives rise to MO solid plus CO2 gas. The equilibrium pressure of carbon dioxide at 127 degrees Celsius and 147 degrees Celsius are 0.14 and 0.35 bar respectively. Given that log 2 value and log 5 values, both of them are given, and they were asking regarding the different options which are given. First, let us take a small let us understand this reaction first of all, then after we will go to the question. Now, for example, for this reaction, Kp is equals to what will happen? Partial pressure of carbon dioxide, because this is solid as well as this is also solid. Therefore, Kp is nothing but partial pressure of carbon dioxide, and they have given the equilibrium pressure of carbon dioxide. Equilibrium pressure of carbon dioxide, which means Kp at 127 degrees Celsius is equals to partial pressure of carbon dioxide at 127 degrees Celsius is equals to, that is 0.14. Kp at 147 degrees Celsius is equals to partial pressure of carbon dioxide at 147 degrees Celsius is equals to, that value is given as some 0.35. 0.35. Now, what we have to calculate? First, the enthalpy of reaction is nearly. The enthalpy of reaction nearly. For this, as we know the two values, we know Clausius-Clapeyron equation, log Kp2 divided by Kp1 is equals to delta H divided by 2.303 or 1 divided by T1 minus 1 divided by T2. So now this value is going to be log 0.35 divided by 0.14. 0.35 divided by 0.14, that is equals to delta H divided by 2.303, given that R value in joules. Therefore 8.314 I will substitute, and this is going to be one value 127, that is 400 Kelvin divided by 420 Kelvin. Delta H value absolutely you will get approximately around 64 kilojoules, no doubt about it. You can calculate from this expression. Next, increase in temperature decreases the yield of carbon dioxide at equilibrium. No, since it is an endothermic reaction, as the temperature increases, equilibrium will be shifted towards the forward direction. Therefore, more amount of or more carbon dioxide is going to be formed. Therefore, partial pressure also going to be increases. It's an endothermic reaction, true. On addition of MCO3 at equilibrium, the equilibrium shifts towards right. Since MCO3 is given as a solid, therefore addition or removal of any solid is not going to affect the equilibrium, as we all know that. Next, question number 49. Increase in size. Chlorine, sulfur, phosphorus, argon, they are asking. Phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon. As we all know that from left to right, atomic radius is going to be decreases. Hence, phosphorus is going to have the maximum. But since argon, this belongs to zero group, which is present extreme right, and it is possessing van der Waals radii, its radii is very, very high. Therefore, argon is greater than phosphorus, is greater than sulfur, is greater than chlorine. No surprise at all. Next, increase in first ionization enthalpy. Increase in first ionization enthalpy, here they have given carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. Left to right, atomic radius is going to be decreased, ionization enthalpy is going to be increased. As we know that fluorine is greater than, oxygen is not having the half filled, incompletely filled. This is having the half filled. Therefore, nitrogen will be having more compared with oxygen than over carbon. That is also true. Increase in magnitude of the first electron gain enthalpy. In such case, when compared with the simple one thing, as we all know that sulfur is having the more electron gain enthalpy when compared with oxygen, therefore that is wrong. Increase in electronegativity. Fluorine is having the highest, no doubt about it, but chlorine is not the second one. When compared with the chlorine, oxygen is having more. Fluorine, according to the Pauling scale, it will be having 4.0, whereas oxygen it is having 3.6. Chlorine is having only 3.0. Hope you all know these values, right? Next, when it comes to the paragraph questions, in that question number 51. Question number 51. For two gases A and B, pressure versus volume isotherms which are drawn at T Kelvin as shown. TA and TB are the critical temperatures of A and B respectively. So they have given that adjust with my diagram because I am not that good in drawing this. You all know. So now you see TA and TB are the critical temperatures of A as well as the B. This is the graph at T Kelvin or some T degrees Celsius or whatever T temperature, T Kelvin, which is clearly mentioned. So it is at T Kelvin. So TA and TB are the critical temperatures of A and B. Now which of the following is true? Which among the following is true? So first one, TA is less than, T is less than TB. At T Kelvin, A is not liquefying, but B is liquefied. See once again. At T Kelvin, A is not liquefied. If it is not liquefied, it is almost behaving like a normal gas. It's almost like behaving like a gas. It is not behaving like P versus V. Rectangular hyperbola it is giving. Almost rectangular hyperbola it is giving. Whereas B is liquefying. So because here we started and here the liquefaction starts, and from here to here it is almost existing, both liquid as well as the gas vapor state, both are going to be liquid as well as gaseous state, both are exist, and here only liquid exists. So now which of the following is going to be true? So which is having the greater critical temperature? Definitely from this it is confirmed that TB is definitely greater than T, because even at T Kelvin also TB is undergoing liquefaction, therefore its critical temperature is going to be little more than T. Whereas at T Kelvin, A, gas A is existing as a gas because T Kelvin already crossed T Kelvin, which is already crossed critical temperature of A. Therefore, T is greater than T. T which is greater than T. I guess you can understand both those options, which is going to be TB is greater than T, which is greater than TA. Yeah, option A. Next, which among the following statements are correct? Pressure correction term will be more negligible for gas B at T Kelvin. The curve for gas B will be the same shape as for the gas A if T is greater than TB. The gas A will show same pressure versus volume curve as of gas B if T is greater than TA. You just observe the second option, second statement. The curve of gas B will be as the same shape of gas A if T is greater than TB. True. If T is much greater than TB, definitely after the critical temperature no gas is going to be liquefied. Definitely its shape is also similar to that one. Statement 3. Gas A will show the same pressure versus volume curve as of B if T is greater than TA. No. If what is the B? B is a liquefying. If T is greater than TA, definitely it is going to similar the shape of this rectangular hyperbola. This is not true. Pressure correction term will be more negligible for gas B at T Kelvin. This is also not going to be true. Therefore, 52 option C. Next, when it comes to the next paragraph 53 as well as the 54. So if you want the explanation, I am explaining. Just to see, at T Kelvin, this is about gas B and it is about gas A. Gas B is a liquefying at temperature T Kelvin. Gas A is not going to liquefy, it is already crossed. Therefore, TB, that means critical temperature of B is greater than T Kelvin, definitely. Even at more than T Kelvin also, still it will liquefy. Whereas for gas A, its critical temperature already crossed. That is why it is following rectangular hyperbola. It's definitely T Kelvin, which means it is already crossed its critical temperature of A. TA it is already crossed. That's what we need to understand. Got it? Now let's move to 53. I guess you have read the total content of that one. So in 53 they are asking which among the following compound has the zero dipole moment. Now PCl3, it's not going to have zero dipole moment. Definitely it is going to be mu does not equals to 0. PCl2F3 according to the Benz rule, more electronegative element always present at the axial positions. More electronegative element, fluorine, and here we will be having chlorine, and one fluorine has to be present here. This is going to be PCl2F3. Therefore, it does not have the zero dipole moment. Next, PCl3F2. Let us check with this. More electronegative element should be present at the axial positions. Less electronegative element. Dipole moment because of this is going to be 0, and dipole moment caused by this one will be definitely diminished or reduced or equally countered by this bond moment. Therefore, its dipole moment mu is equals to 0. PClF4 surely does not equal to 0. Next, question number 54. Comes to question number 54. So here C double bond C, H, chlorine, what they are asking here also, whose dipole moment does not equals to 0. The bond moment will act in this direction. Here the bond moment will act in this direction. Its dipole moment definitely mu is equals to 0, no doubt. Whereas in the second option, second case, as we all know that there are conformations around the single bond. Therefore, this bond, both bonds are going to be rotated. Definitely, its dipole moment will be does not equals to 0 because these two hydrogens are not present in the one plane. This sulfur, these are present on the plane, but these hydrogens are not going to present on one plane. These are the resultant will acting in these directions. Therefore, this dipole moment does not equals to 0. And next one, even you take benzene ring which are substituted, two cyanides. Here, this is C triple bond and same plane. Dipole moment is equals to 0. Sulfur trioxide, as we know that S double bond O. Absolutely AB3 type of molecule. So its dipole moment is equals to definitely which is equals to 0. Hope you have all done well. But the thing is, question paper is in little good quality of questions are there, and whatever the errors or the mistakes that you have done for this exam, hope you are not going to repeat for the next exam, and prepare well. And if you have any doubt, you can repeatedly watch the video, and whatever you need, this content that we need, you just post it in the group and we are going to explain in the class. Have a nice day.